This is the Ask a Photographer podcast, answering your photography-related questions about general photography, workflow, editing, business, and marketing. To submit a question, go to bebleno.com/ask. Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from bebleno.com. Today's question comes from Alex, and he's asking, what should I charge for a photo shoot? My prices haven't been updated since I started business. My costs have increased and my skills have improved enough that I feel comfortable to increase my prices. I sell prints, albums and digital files. I don't charge a session fee, but should I be? What is a good starting point for my prices? Hey Alex, thanks for submitting your question, and good on you for getting the courage and the confidence to raise your prices. We should all be doing that every so often to keep on track with making more and more money in our business. But as you've mentioned, the increase in your costs. So vendors may be raising prices, and that's something we should always be aware of, because otherwise we're just wasting money and not making a profit. We're actually losing money. So this is a topic that it's like a piece of string, how long's a piece of string? It's one of those things where it's very, very hard to give you a definite answer. But what I want to do is go through a couple of tips just to get you in the right direction. And things like working out the cost of doing business is a good start. It looks like you've done that before. And what I do recommend is going to the NPPA website, and it actually has a calculator. And this calculator basically has places where you can put in different things like electricity, costs for accounting fees and other subscription fees, things like for your web hosting and software subscription like Adobe Creative Cloud. Write down all the things that you pay for on a weekly, monthly and yearly, and add it all together and then divide it by 12, and that will give you your monthly costs, or breakdown of how much you need to make per month to keep the business running. And that is before we've even made a profit. Now, the other thing is things like cost of goods. So you mentioned that you sell prints, you sell albums, and you do digital files. The cost of goods directly applies to anything that you physically do, but also digital as well, in fact. So things like printing costs, your printers, postage, packaging, delivery costs if you're doing it personally, or obviously postage if you're sending it out, and how much does it cost to actually edit a photo or even a session if you're just doing digital files. And that's something to always be on top of, because that changes the most, because a session could be shorter, it could be longer, and that's just something you need to keep a track of. So if you put a little bit of buffer, meaning that you add, put a little bit of extra charges in there to counter for that, you won't get yourself into trouble. And adding those two together, the cost of goods and the cost of doing business, will get us a very minimum cost before we even make a profit, and that's just to get our products made and to keep our business running. Multiplying these costs by 2.5, 3 times, 4 times is a good starting point. And by doing so, when you're multiplying it, you're actually building in profit into the prices there. Another point is, you made a point that you don't charge a session fee. By charging a session fee, you do a few things. You can actually put your cost of doing business into the session fee. So if it's $150 a month for your cost of doing business, then just one session fee could pay that off, and which is excellent. And then everything after that is just profit, or even a buffer for on a rainy day for the slow periods. So I do recommend that you do charge a session fee, and also a session fee weeds out people that are not sure if they should be booking, or if they tentatively put booking in and then cancel at last minute, which is painful. By getting them to pay a session fee, you've got somebody in there booked, and of course you can always reschedule if anything happens. Now, Other aspects that go into pricing other things that dictate pricing, I should say, is the local market. If a lot of people within your local market are selling, prints, say $300 or $400, and you're selling prints $800 and $600, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to convince people to buy your products, because a lot of the market is selling at a much cheaper price. So that's just something to think about. It's something that's not directly related to your skills, which unfortunately some people, when they when they do purchase portrait sessions and choose their photographer, they don't always think about the skill. They sometimes think about the money first, which is a shame. But that's something that's out of your control. You should be listening to your customers. If your customers give you hints of like, wow, this is an excellent price considering other people within your price range put all some weird and wonderful filters and make the photos look ugly, then, it's kind of giving you, it's telling you two things. One, that your editing is far superior than them, and you should be charging more for that. Two, is they're comparing you to people that potentially are of lower quality, and therefore you definitely should be raising your prices, Alex. So that's something you should always be doing. Question your customers. Why did they choose you? How do they feel about pricing? If someone comes up and says, "Oh, I can only afford $1,000," well then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, if everybody's coming and saying the same thing, and you've got collections that are $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000, and you're finding it hard to convert people, then that's something you may, have to tweak because of just how the market is in your area. In regards to prices in general, keep them simple. Make it easy for people to be able to do addition in their head. If you've got some $37.82, then you've got something else that's $22.92. Just make it simple. You put it to the nearest 5, so it's like, $85, $295, $290. Make it around $300, that type of thing. So it's easy for people to calculate. And, there is a little bit of psychology about, if you're selling something that's at, say, $999 as opposed to $1,000, some people see, obviously it's $1,000, right? But people see the lower figure and may actually think, well, it's a little bit easier to I guess it's just a psychology in the whole thing where people just perceive it to be cheaper, even though if it's only just by $1. But that's just something to keep in mind. And having prices at $7.99 or $7.95, there's a slight difference. It's only $4 or $5, but it could actually be the difference of actually getting a customer or not. So something to keep in mind. There you go, Alex. There's a few tips to get you started. I hope you do raise your prices to the point where you are making a good profit and you're enjoying your photography. Thank you very much for your question, and all the best for the future. If you have a question that you'd like featured on the show, go to biblino.com/ask to submit your question. I'd love to hear what you think of the show by going to iTunes or Stitcher and giving me a review and a rating. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications of new episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, get out and take more photos. Oh, look, it's a cat in front of a sunset.